I don't blame you. My mom was one of my favorite people.
Yeah. You guys don't love your mom? Come on, man.
All right, so yesterday we talked about an arc sector, the area of a section of a circle, right? So we took the area of a circle and we took a fractional part of that. That's really what an area sector is, right? Sector, the section, right? It's a fractional part of the area of a circle. That's why our units are in squared units. We're going to refer back to arc length, and today is Thursday the 9th of February. So now we're going to refer back to the arc length. And the arc length is a fractional part of the distance around the circle. Okay? It's a fractional part. If you have a question, somebody asks you, what is the relationship between the arc length and the circumference of a circle, right? It's a fractional part of the circumference of a circle because it's only part way around. So when there's only a fractional part of the circumference of a circle, we are going to take a fraction and multiply it times the circumference of the circle. Okay, the distance around the circle. That's why the formula is written the way it is. So if you look at number 4, we'll look at number 4 again. We used number 4 yesterday. It says, what is the arc length of PQ? What is the arc length of this right here? Okay. Now, this is a little different because if you look at this, they're telling us the degrees of the one that we don't want. Okay? Be careful. They're giving us the degrees of the one we don't want. We want to know the arc length of this one, and they're giving us the degrees of the opposite one, 230 degrees. Now I know that can't be this one because that's not even 90 degrees yet. So I know that that 230 cannot belong to this PQ. We know it's belonging to the other side. So I need to know the arc length, or excuse me, the arc measure of the length we're trying to find. And since this is a central angle, and that's 230 degrees, if I take 360 and I subtract 230 degrees, we get 130, right? 130. So that means the measurement of this arc would be 130. So we're just going to mark that real quick. This would be 130 degrees. Now the radius is 144, so that's okay. The radius is 144, and in reality this wouldn't be 130 degrees, right? This isn't 130 degrees, but it's not drawn to scale. Not drawn to scale, because like I said, that's not even 90 degrees. But they don't have it to scale today. So what is the arc length of PQ? We find that by taking the measure of the arc we're trying to find, or the arc length we're trying to find, over 360 degrees times our circumference of a circle, which is 2 pi r. 2 times pi times your radius. 2 pi r. We know what our radius is in this case because it is 144. So this is going to be a fairly big number, right? 144. Yep. So it's really 130 over 360 times 2 pi times 144. And remember, we're just going to reduce. So we want our answers two ways, just like on the other side. We want our answers, first of all, in terms of pi, and then we want it as a decimal. So if we're going to write this as terms of pi, we've got to start reducing this fraction. So I can divide the top and bottom here by 10 just by canceling out those zeros there. There's nothing that goes into 13 that also goes into 36. So those 13 is a prime number. If I take 3 times 13, that's not 36, it's 39. So I know 13 doesn't go into 36. Then I'm going to cross cancel this way. So I'm going to get rid of this 2. 2 goes into 2 one time. it goes into 36 18 times. Is it 18 times? Yeah,
18 times.
18 times. So now I look at 144. I know 144 is divisible by 12. It's probably going to be divisible by 6, but let's check it. We take 144 and divide it by 6. It is 24. So it is divisible by 6. So we divide 144 by 6, we get 24. If we take 18 and divide it by 6, we get 3. They can still cancel. Because 3 will go into 3 one time, it goes into 24 8 times. So this becomes a 1 now, this now becomes an 8. So now we're just going to multiply straight across. So at the top, we have 13 times pi times 8, or 13 times 8 times pi. Down below, we're all reduced all the way down to 1. So we're not going to need that anymore. Anything over 1 is just the top number. So this becomes 13 times 8, which is 104 pi, and whatever units they're talking about at the time, so units. If it's centimeters, it's centimeters. If it's inches, so on and so forth. So that's one way we want the answer. And in the other way we want the answer multiplied out. And rounded to whatever they ask us to round it to. If they ask us to round to the nearest tenth, that's what we do. If they tell us not to round at all, then we're not going to round at all. But now you take that 104 and you multiply that pi, which is 3.14. That's what we're using, so we all have the same answers. And we get 326. If we round to the nearest tenth, it's actually 326.56. And so we're going to round to the nearest tenth, and that's going to be 326.6 units. Okay, so same thing we did yesterday. The only difference is our units aren't squared. We're using the same numbers, but yesterday we used pi r squared because we're finding a fraction of an area of the circle. Now we're finding a fraction of the circumference, so we multiply by 2 pi r, the circumference of a circle. Any questions on that at all? Yes, sir.
The little pi sign on the calculator,
It's
not just 3.14, it's more, right?
That's correct. So we don't want to use that
Why not?
because we want to all have the same answers. Some people have the pi key, some people do not. So we are using 3.14 instead of that. And I would suggest you do that on the test as well, because the test is designed to use 3.14 and not the pi key.
Alright.
Okay? All right. All right, any other questions? All right, so your homework is going to be to complete problems. And I've only got 8 for you. First 4 and the last 4 on that front side. So first 4 and last 4. Keep in mind, if you have a problem like this right here, they've already multiplied the measure of the arc over 360 degrees times pi, right? They've already done that. You need to multiply it times 2 times your radius, right? You still need to do this. You still need to do this part. The only thing they've done is they've completed this part. They've taken the measure of the arc and the fraction, and they multiplied it times pi. What they didn't do is they didn't multiply it times 2 times your radius, okay? So keep that in mind when you go to multiply that together. They didn't do that yet. They did this, but not that. So they're giving you part of the answer, but not all of it. Okay, any questions on that part, that specific part I just mentioned? All right, That's your homework for today.